the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So here we are. It is Taco Tuesday. Taco frickin' Tuesday in the house. I hope all your taco dreams come true. And today could be a big day for the Cowboys, maybe a game-changing day. If for no other reason, the reason I say it could be a game-changing day is this morning, sometime between now and morning is, of course, 1 o'clock Eastern for, of course, Central is 12. Anytime before 1 o'clock Eastern is morning in Dallas, and we will have, oh my goodness, Shaq Leonard coming in for a visit. Now, you know, it's funny how if the Cowboys do something, it's stupid. It's always stupid. We're hearing, of course, Colt fans and things like that, people that are salty, that are saying, well, you know, he had diminished playing time and so on, that he had the surgeries, that he has stepped back from where he was. But we understand that. We understand that he may not be the player he was, 2 or 3 years ago. But we're looking at the New England Patriots philosophy of about 5 or 6 years ago. Their thing was they didn't necessarily have the top tier players at every position. What they had was they had rotations of players, of depth, so we could keep sending wave after wave. They had players that could play a certain role, that they may only be needed for 15 or 20 plays, but when they got out there, they were fresh and able to roll. Let's be clear here, with the loss of Leighton Vander Esch and Overshown, we've been thin at linebacker all season. And this is the point where you start looking and saying it's time to separate from everybody else and look at the playoffs. Now, last night, Minnesota losing to the Bears basically solidifies that we will be no worse than fifth as far as seeding goes. And pretty much we're locked in unless San Francisco, us, and one other team beats the Eagles. That's basically the only way it's going to have to happen. Now, I do have my faith in Rashid, rest his soul. Maybe the Giants sneak one of those games. But in all actuality, we probably will be the fifth seed. It's just the way it's going to be. We'll end up going to probably Atlanta, playing in the first round, and then probably having to play the San Francisco 49ers again. But hey, you know what? This is a different team. And I have more faith in this team because we have more than what we had. Last year, when you think about where this team was offensively, we had Zeke and Tony Pollard, but Zeke was not really Zeke of old. Tony Pollard was balling. CeeDee Lamb was great. But beyond CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver-wise, the cupboard was bare. Offensive line, for the most part, we didn't have Tyron Smith, and when we did get him back, we had to play him on right because we didn't have Terrence Steele. We ended up using Jason Peters, a guy who was 40 years old, at tackle and guard because we just could not keep an offensive line healthy. This team that may have to go to San Francisco if we can get past the first round is in a much better place because it does have some depth, because we don't have the injuries at the moment that we had medical malfunctions. And getting a guy with the experience that Shaq Leonard has added to the rotation in the mix gives you another body. Maybe he plays 25 plays a game. Maybe he plays 30 plays a game. But if he's got 30 plays that have a punch to it, that's elevating the whole defense. And see, it's not about just one guy being a superstar, although we do have some guys that are superstars in Micah Parsons, in Deron Bland, in Dak Prescott, in CeeDee Lamb. We've got 4. In fact, I'll say even Tyler Smith, who's becoming one of the best guards in football, that we've got 5 superstars. But you can't rely just on them. It's all about the team and the team concept. Now, the other part of this, why it's important to me, is because it's a change in philosophy. And part of the problem that has held the Cowboys back is this lack of figuring we're just good enough with what we got to win. And sometimes when you lose players, the Eagles have been a master of it. of going out and taking guys late in the season to fill roles to help you so you don't drop off of the face of the earth when you lose players. And that's what's exciting to me about this now. The other portion of this that you have to look at is how the Joneses have actually changed. I know it's probably doesn't have anything to do with it, but I still believe in karma. I still believe in when you're trying to win, you should try everything possible, no matter how crazy it is, to make yourself better in a better position to win. But I honestly believe that there was a pale over the Dallas Cowboys, the curse of Jimmy Johnson, this whole vendetta that Jerry Jones had against him. The fact that now you've kind of released that whole bad feeling and so on. You know, I guess it would be, maybe it would be too much to ask Jerry Jones to apologize to, is the camera kind of, there we go, to apologize to Tom Landry, but, you know, for the way he fired him. But, you know, this is a start that maybe we'll have karma on our side. But seeing the Cowboys this offseason doing something they typically don't do, they went out to get guys that were good players. Actually, they had been great players, maybe a little bit later in their careers than you would have liked. I would love to have had Stephon Gilmore, 3 years ago, or Brandon Cooks a couple of years ago. But there's still guys that are playing important roles on your team and are doing things, and they did it using late-round draft picks. And if they are finally in the business of saying, here's a guy where Stephen Jones always saying player acquisition is a 365-day-a-year job, if they're finally actually doing this to make the team better, then maybe there is hope overall. So let's see what happens with this one, because right now, of course, Eagle fans are saying, oh, well, this guy, he's broken up, he stinks and all that. Let the Cowboys not sign him. Let the Cowboys not sign him and see how fast the Eagles try and jump on him. Let's see how fast, because I can guarantee you, as bare as their cupboard is right now, having Nakobe Dean not be the guy that they thought he was going to be, that Nakobe Dean is on injured reserve again, that Cunningham, another one of their linebackers, on a defense that's given up points to everybody. I mean, everybody. It's not a problem to do a 30-burger on the Eagles. Even the Commanders have done that twice. That defense is going to be their Achilles heel. So what's also crazy about this is, and this actually, believe it or not, is not the first time that this has happened. Naysayers will say, oh, this is the first time, but he doesn't deserve it. That Dak Prescott is in the conversation legitimately for MVP. Now, people will look and say Jalen Hurts, because the Eagles, of course, have the best record in football. But I look at Jalen Hurts and say that Jalen Hurts and that offense was playing better last year. Now, Jalen Hurts, he's clutch down the stretch. He is clutch down the stretch. But it was interesting because I had an Eagle fan that said, I am an Eagle fan, I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, but I look at the team that's around with Jalen Hurts, and he's a product also of the team. He's got Swift that's running like crazy. He's got, Devontae Smith, who's been balling out, along with their other wide receiver, and he's had Dallas Goedert. So he's had, the best offensive line in football. That he's had all these pieces that you look at this and say, if you were to take Jalen Hurts out of the equation, in where he's got all these rushing touchdowns, but they're all from the tush push, except for, I think, one. This wind is kicking. This is actually, forgive me. This is an old house. And typically old houses are very drafty, very, very drafty. Now, we've got the original windows and stuff in here, and a couple places where I didn't put the molding on, so you can see this one right here. I didn't put a window lock on it, so it's not sealed up the way it's supposed to. But it is windy. It is so windy that when I opened up the front door, it almost hit me in the face, because we've got like 25-mile-an-hour wind gusts. but you're not feeling that draftiness in the house. It's just kind of crazy to me. And I didn't realize how good the heat is working in here. I got the heat set at 73, and it feels hot after you go outside. I'm sorry, I digress. But the thought is if you took Jalen Hurts out of that offense, would that team still succeed with somebody else in there, as opposed to Dak Prescott? And I'm not saying one way or the other which way it should go. But let's be clear here. The Dallas Cowboys offense is Dak Prescott. You haters may not want to look at it and believe it. You're still on the dink and duck, Dak Trashcott, Dak mascot, Dak sucks, Dak ain't the one, Dak is a product of Zeke Elliott or Kellen Moore. You're that guy, and you're just going to reach for something else. Or Dak is a turnover machine. You're going to reach for those things, and I get it. There is no changing you. But the reality is this ain't a great running team. It's not about running the football. The offensive line is playing better, much better now, and solidifying, and can be one of the better offensive lines by the end of the year as they're going right now. But let's be clear. The difference in this team and this offense is Dak Prescott. And you look at the numbers from when Kellen Moore was here as the offensive coordinator to where Dak Prescott is now. Right now, Dak has one less game than he did last year. And right now, he's got more yards. He's got the same amount of TDs, and he's got 9 less interceptions. He's got a 15-point higher rating. His touchdown percentages are way up. His interception percentages are way down. And as he goes, this team goes. If there's anything I hope we can really get going between now and the end of the season is the running game. If we can get the running game going, then the sky's the limit. So this morning, before we get out of here, we always like to go to Get Up and see how they trash my Cowboys on a regular basis. The Cowboys demolish a team, and it means nothing, and they just can't beat good teams. Other teams beat trash teams, and they're the greatest team of all time. Or it means more because they found a way to win when they weren't playing good. Yeah.
What I say to myself is I haven't done you know what I mean? It's regular season, numbers are great, we're getting wins, that's what's most important, but at the end of the day we're trying to stack and keep growing this team to make sure that we're getting better each and every week.
I mean, what are we supposed to do if Dak's going to say he ain't do nothing? Like the whole
took your bet.
Yeah, the whole thing that we do is say, "Hey, Dak, you're playing MVP level football. Do it in the playoffs, even though it's not the playoffs." So what are we supposed to do if Dak undercuts our whole industry? Come on, Dak
got hold of the rundown is what happened.
Dak playing chess.
Part of the show. Look, the schedule's going to get tougher, right? Obviously, I mean, like they have the Seahawks and they have the Eagles again, and then it gets tougher after that. Do you expect him to keep playing at this level even against the tougher competition?
Oh, 100%. And I got to give a shout out to Mike McCarthy as well, right? Him and Dak are so in sync right now, they're finishing each other's sentences. It's him, two things. We talked about the red zone offense early in the year. They were really struggling. Well, 18 out of the last 26, they scored a touchdown. Ooh. We talked about pre-snap motion for them to be able to get guys open and give Dak coverage tails and move CeeDee Lamb around. Well, they were using it 39% of the year before the bye. Now they're using it 60% of the time. And then this last game against Washington, that blowout game on Thanksgiving, he came back and he made the changes that he needed to make to get his guy rolling. And Dak Prescott is playing at not just at an MVP level, but the guy we just talked about in Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, he's above Jalen Hurts right now because of the way that he's played. After the bye, I think he's had 4 300 passing yard games. He hadn't had any before that. They have come back with a vengeance. And him saying that right there, that's like the T.O. meme. That's my quarterback, because you want him to feel, I haven't done anything yet.
You're right about Mike McCarthy to an extent. But Mike McCarthy we do not owe Mike McCarthy an apology. Mike McCarthy owes us an apology because he's doing the things that we said he needed to do. So I respect and I appreciate that Mike McCarthy was able to walk into the building and he say, you know what? Our offensive coach stinks. He's me. Let me stop pretending like we have some different offense than what we have. What they talk about on Get Up? Motion? Ooh, I like that. Let me put some of that in the offense. Oh, we can't run the ball? At the beginning of the year, he's like, we're going to run the ball. We're going to take the pressure off Dak so we have fewer turnovers. That ain't what we doing.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I appreciate his ability to evolve and take the next step and not be hard and fast in his ways and say, I know best. But I ain't saying sorry for telling him to do the right thing, and he finally doing the right thing now.
Yeah, trust that, right? Like that's what we talked about the whole time. Is if you see what their offense was with Kellen Moore, right? It was all in Dak's hands. And so you came in, you had this mindset change, or hey, we're going to shift our philosophy to be this. You realize it's not going to work. We're not going to end up beating the good teams this way. Here's what we're going to have to do. Put the ball back in Dak's hand. CD has become the receiver that everybody had hoped he would. Brandon Cooks is making plays. Ferguson's coming off the end. He's hitting the middle of the field. So when you look at it, everything is kind of coming together, and the defense is producing. Not only are they shutting teams, they're scoring points. Which, by the way, when we're seeing all these numbers, let's not forget they score about every week. So Dan Quinn has held up his end of the bargain. Yes. Their defense is playing good. That's why I would, that's what shifts teams in the playoffs.
So Robert says he's ahead of Jalen Hurts.
Right.
But the one spot where he's not is in the standings, where the Eagles still have a 2-game lead.
Correct.
Eagles have San Francisco this week, Cowboys have Seattle this week, and then it's Dallas and Philadelphia again next week. So if things shake out their way, they could theoretically catch Philadelphia with a win that week. Do they need to catch the Eagles if they're going to make a playoff run? Do they need to get that division title and those home games?
I think that's their main focus, and it should be. We've all been in the locker room before. We understand that each game is important because it's the next game.
Right.
But when you look at the Dallas Cowboys and how dominant they've been at home, I mean, this year I think they're 5-0.
They are 5-0, yes.
5-0 at home. So they have done things in a way with that crowd, in the star, feeling good about themselves. And when your quarterback is saying they haven't done anything, let me tell you what he has done right now in the league. He's first against man coverage. He's first against the blitz. He's first on third downs. He's first outside the pocket, and he's first against four-man rush.
Yeah.
So Dak is playing at such an MVP level, and don't let any coach tell you that they don't watch these shows. Okay? We did an entire 7-minute segment on Monday Night Countdown weeks ago when we had the Cowboys talking about motion, and they have utilized that to the highest levels so far.
Your division is important because that's the goal that every team starts with. But I will say this, if you look at the Cowboys would want the Eagles to win and win out because you've seen at home, although the Eagles have found ways to win, they're susceptible defensively. The Bills scored a bunch of points. The Cowboys scored a bunch of points. You'll see what San Fran does this weekend if they can score. But it lends you to think, hey, if we get into a shootout, at least in Philly, we still got a shot, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, so it's not like you go, oh, we're all of a sudden closed up if the Eagles win this division.
Yeah, obviously much more on this as we go along today and in the coming weeks. And we obviously...
There you go. Wow. Dak Prescott is statistically right now right where you need to be and has, did I say, the second best record in football? Not a bad place to be. But we'll see. We'll see. This is the opportunity for the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott to rustle away that whole MVP conversation. Cowboys win the next 2 games. Whoa, bro. Whoa. All right, good people. I hope you all have a great day. Today it's Taco Tuesday, tomorrow's Hump Day, and then Thursday it's on against the Seahawks. I'm Mark Holmes, and we'll have any news that happens with Shaq Leonard. Peace.